Thanks for coming on, Andy speaking. Friday, 27th of October, just coming up 4:45. Try and get this on earlier tonight. It's quite I think it's quite some decent value in England, I have to say. I'll run through the Premiership with you quickly. Tonight, there's Crystal Palace against Tottenham. I think Tottenham should be winning that. I don't think it's a given for Spurs. I thought they were too short for a bet. Palace, I'm sure, will make it tough, but I do think that Tottenham will probably get it done. Tomorrow, Chelsea, Brentford, Arsenal, Sheffield United. I think both of those ought to be winning. Bournemouth, Burnley, I felt was a tough game. He's in last chance saloon, Iriola of Bournemouth. Wolves, Newcastle. I felt that was a tough game to assess, particularly in view of the fact that Newcastle played Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, Saturday for them. They haven't done that yet since they've been in the Champions League, so be interesting to see how that goes. Wolves beat Manchester City here. I wouldn't be taking odds on about Newcastle. I felt not at all. Sunday, West Ham, Everton. Tough game again. I think West Ham will probably edge it. Villa, Luton. I think Villa will win. Brighton, Fulham. Brighton should win. Liverpool, Forest. Liverpool should win. And then you've got Manchester United against Manchester City. I think City will win. We were on United last year, but not now. I think there's a pattern developing with Manchester United, and I think it's pretty plain if you look at it. Every win has been by a single goal, even away at Sheffield United and away at Burnley. 1-0, 2-1. I think that's really poor form. The game the other night, they were really poor again. I know they won. And if you look at Manchester United, they've played 4 teams in the top 11. Palace, Brighton, Arsenal, Tottenham, they've lost them all. 12th and below, they've played 5, won 5. Best away wins against 18th place Burnley. I think there's big problems. I know there's big problems there. I think the manager will end up carrying the can, and I think that's grossly unfair. I think the whole squad's letting him down. So, as I say, I think City. This wouldn't surprise me if this was a 4-1 job. You can tell with City, they build up to stuff. They sort of, I don't know, they scratch around. They lost at Wolves, lost at Arsenal, then they only just got 2-1 against Brighton, and then they'll smash someone. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens at the weekend. Not at all. Best bet in the Premier League for me is Chelsea. I'm not saying that they're the most likely team to win in the Premiership this weekend, but it's a team which we thought they should be a slight bit shorter than what they are. Whereas, as I say, Tottenham, Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa are all way too short in relation to their chances. But, Tottenham, Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa, I'd expect all of them to win. I really would. So there we go. That covers the Premier League. Right. Let's go on to League One. Barnsley, Fleetwood first up. 64-25-11. I felt there was a bit in Barnsley. We thought they should be 4-7 for this. I can see. No, I can't see why, but I can see a lazy approach pricing Barnsley up at 5-6 because they've played 7 games at home, lost 4 of them, and you might look at that and think, oh wow, yeah, they've lost 4 at home. But let's look at who they've lost to. They're sitting in 3rd, Barnsley. They've lost to Portsmouth, who are 1st, Oxford, who are 2nd, Peterborough, who are 5th, Blackpool, who are 6th. So the 4 defeats have been against the top 6. They've won the other 3 against Burton, Port Vale and Shrewsbury, and they've won those 3 games, scoring 12, conceding none. Fleetwood are 22nd. They've won twice on the road at Reading and Cheltenham, the bottom 2 teams. Their record against the top half teams on the road is drawn 1, lost 2. Barnsley look good things for this. And I'll just touch on, we'll come to that in a minute. So I was going to say something, we'll come to that in a minute. Blackpool Peterborough 40-27-33, 0.2 in Peterborough, not enough as far as we're concerned. Blackpool, they're one of those teams that we're on the outrights as a sort of, when I put up a dark horse, Blackpool was the one, because I just thought that Neil Critchley got such a great tune out of them before he went to QPR, got fired from there because that's an impossible job anyway. Now back at Blackpool, and I think they've done really well. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. They've drawn at second place Oxford, won at third place Barnsley, beat Stevenage, beat Burton, lost at home to Derby. I don't think there's any great. I wouldn't frown upon the home defeat to Derby. I think Blackpool are going to be a playoff side. I was looking to back them tomorrow for this, but obviously there's nothing in them. It's hard to back against Peterborough because they're unbeaten in a while. But the only thing I'll say, when it comes to the road trips, they did win 3-1 at Barnsley, but that was a while ago. That's their best away win, but their best away win since then has been a 1-0 win at 14th place Port Vale. So they're in decent enough nick, Peterborough. I thought, and I mean, look, there's some value in them, but I did want to back Blackpool, but obviously not at the price. Bristol Rovers Northampton 50-25-25. There's a bit in Bristol Rovers, 0.2. Joey Barton's got the sack now. Is it a results-based sacking, or is it because he called some other manager a fat you-know-what? I don't know, is the honest answer. Against teams in the top half, they've drawn 4, lost 4. They've not beaten a top half club, but their record against teams in the bottom half is 1-4, lost 1. Northampton are 19th. There's 0.2 in Bristol Rovers. They're rated to win. I don't know how the players are going to react, because I didn't ever hear, I mean, not that I hear everything from every club, but I didn't ever hear that Joey Barton had fallen out with the players at Bristol Rovers. Now, if he had the players on board and he's been sacked, then it could have an adverse effect. If the players weren't on board, then I'd expect Bristol Rovers to start playing better. I think Bristol Rovers are a mid-table club. And by mid-table, I sort of think, a 9th to 14th. If they're at it tomorrow, they should win this. Burton Orient, 44-26-30. There's half a point in Burton. I think they've done okay at home, if I'm honest. They've lost twice, once to Derby, once to Exeter. That was before Exeter went into freefall. They're in really decent form, Burton. They've won 5 of the last 8, drawn 2. The only defeat came away at Carlisle, a 2-1 loss. At home to teams below them, they've won 3, drawn 1, lost 1. So I think that's pretty good. Orient are a place below them. Orient have been in decent nick. The 2 away wins are against Exeter and Carlisle, who sit 18th and 20th. Teams above that, they've drawn 2, lost 2. I wasn't convinced with Orient. It's half a point in Burton. I thought they should be a lot shorter than 7-4. Cambridge against Carlisle, 40-27-33. Very hard to make a case for either of these, really. Cambridge haven't won for a wee while, have they? I can't remember. Was it end of August, early September, though, when they beat Reading? That's the last time they won. And they've lost 4 of the next 8, drawn the other 4, so they've not won for a while. You don't score a lot of goals. Carlisle are 20th. Their best performance on the road. They did win 3-1 at Bolton, which is an absolutely outstanding result. I think they've had some tough fixtures. They've been to Portsmouth, Oxford, Bolton, Stevenage, Lincoln, Wickham, all teams top 10. They've only played one side outside the top 10 on the road. That was Port Vale, where they went down 1-0. This, I don't know. There's 0.2 in them, but you're not going to take it, so it's a no-bet game, really, isn't it? Charlton, Bolton, 38-24-38. I felt this was a really hard game to assess. I think Charlton have been okay since Michael Appleton took over. They got turned over at Lincoln last time out, but the home form has been pretty good. I think they've won every game bar one, and that was a 2-2 draw with Blackpool. Bolton are fourth. Not convinced about them on the road, Bolton. They got turned over at Reading, drew with Burton. They've won at Wickham. That was their best win. I think this is tougher than all of those, I have to say. There's 0.25 in Bolton. It's a game to leave alone. Exeter Lincoln 40-27-33. They're a club in freefall. Exeter. What they've lost, I think is it's six. They've lost 6 on the spin, 6 of the last 7. They've only won one of those last games. I think one of the last 8, and that was a 1-0 win over bottom club Cheltenham. They are in awful form. Lincoln are up to 9th. It's just whether they won at Shrewsbury. They've won at Fleetwood, drawn at Bristol Rovers, drawn at Northampton. They've not lost to a side on the road below them in the league. They're 9th. Exeter are 18th. I thought Exeter should be slight favourites, but not. It shouldn't be 11-8, 9-4. But there's just, there's 0.25 in that. I've missed that. I don't know why. But there's 0.25 in that. But again, it's not enough, is it, at 33%? But if I had to bet here, I would bet Lincoln. Exeter are in trouble, or they look that way. Oxford Wickham 55-26-19. They were turned over at Wigan the other night. Oxford. Prior to that, they had a 1-1 home draw with Blackpool. I'm prepared to overlook not overlook. That's not fair, is it? I think Blackpool are a tough nut to crack, as I've said, and I also think that Wigan are a decent side. They're 21st Wigan, but they've had a massive points deduction. I can't remember what it was. Was it 12 or 9? Let me think. They'd be on 19 points, Wigan. So they'd sort of be around 11th, 12th. So I think to win at home to Oxford, I think is pretty good. Particularly in view of, Oxford have been decent on the road, haven't they? They've won some big games on the road at Barnsley, Stevenage and Derby. I think that's decent road form. I don't rate Stevenage. They're in a false position. I've said that plenty of times. Wickham are 10th. They're not the worst side in the world, Wickham. My concern for them in this game, they've won 3 on the road. That's all been against teams 16th or below. They play an Oxford side who are 2nd, and their record against teams, even 13th and above on the road is drawn 1, lost 3, and they've shipped 10 goals in those 4 games. I'd expect Oxford to win. We think Oxford should be odds on. I know it's a bit of a derby, but I still think they should be odds on. Port Vale Cheltenham 59-26-15. I think Port Vale will win this. I think Cheltenham are the worst team in the division. Port Vale haven't won for an age. They've lost 5 of the last 7, drawn the other 2. But I think at home to teams below them, they've played 3, won 3 and haven't conceded a goal. Cheltenham are bottom. I'd expect them to win. Whether you want to take 8-11 about a team like that is debatable. It's not for me. Reading Portsmouth 23-27-50. I was a tad disappointed. We backed Portsmouth the other night away at Cambridge. And I tell you what my problem with Portsmouth is. If you look through the figures, they've played 14, they've won 9. And out of those 9 games that they've won, 6 of them have been by 1 goal. There's only been on 3 occasions, 3-1 against Peterborough, 4-0 against Orient, 2-0 against Port Vale. Have they, as a scoreline, been bigger than 1 winning goal? So that's a concern, and it is a concern, justifiably as well, I think. But Reading are awful. I expected them to beat Fleetwood the other night. They didn't. I spoke to someone who's at the game, and he just said to me that they're a million miles away. He thinks they're looking at back-to-back relegations. The worrying thing as well for Reading is they've played 7 games away from home, lost every one of them, and 6 of those games have been against teams in the bottom half. That's worrying when you look at the form and you think, well, we've got to go to Portsmouth, Oxford, Barnsley, Bolton, Peterborough, Derby, etc. And you're being turned over at likes of Port Vale, Cambridge, Exeter, Northampton. That doesn't bode well for Reading in the future. I do think it could be back-to-back relegation. Excuse me, and it's quite a young side. It's a worry. Stevenage Derby 32-28-40. We were on Derby at Shrewsbury last week. They got turned over 1-0. I didn't see that one coming because they've been pretty faultless away from home. They've played 7, won 4, drawn 1, lost 2. The defeat came at Bolton, which, is acceptable. A 1-0 defeat at Shrewsbury wasn't. They got straight back on the winning thread Tuesday night when they turned over Exeter. So I think they should be favourites for this. I think they should be 6-4. There's 2-1 available, not 15-8. So you're getting half a point at 40%. Stevenage is 7th. I don't rate them. Sorry, I don't, if that upsets any Stevenage fans. Simply, they've played 4 sides in the top 11. They've drawn 1, lost 3. And those 3 losses, they've gone down. They've shipped 9 goals in those 3 losses. All the wins have been against teams 12th or below. Derby are 8th. Stevenage are not a top 7 side. They're 7th at the moment, but they are not. They're a mid-table at best. The worry for them is the complete opposite of what I've said. Similar to Reading, they've played 8 games away. 6 of them have been against all the teams in the bottom half, and they've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1. They've got to go to all the big sides, and they've got to play a lot of the big sides at home. I know they're going to drop off. They're going to be mid-table at best, Stevenage. And to make them 13-8 for this is no way. I'm not saying Derby are going to win. I never say to you, yep, they're going to win, get your money on. But what I will say is there's half a point in Derby at 40%, and as far as we're concerned, that's value. Wigan Shrewsbury 50-25-25. Wigan had a great win the other night against Oxford, and the week before they won, didn't they, at Exeter. That came off the back of 4 defeats. Now, you can look at that and you can say 4 defeats, that's awful, but the defeats were against Portsmouth, who are top, Burton top half, Stevenage top half. They lost away at Bristol Rovers. Don't think that's the worst form. It's never nice for defeats, but sometimes you do have to make a reason as to why a team has gone down. Shrewsbury on the road have been poor. They've played 7, they've lost 5. The only win came against 22nd place Fleetwood. Of the other 6, they've drawn 1, which was 1 win at Cambridge. They've lost the other 5. They've lost to Carlisle 2-0, Orient 1-0, Stevenage 2-0, 3-0 Oxford, 3-0 Barnsley. They've scored 2 goals on the road all season. It's the sort of thing, if Wigan find the net, you'd expect Wigan to go on and win the game. 0.2 at 50%. Is it value? It's how you see it. Right, League 2. Accrington against Colchester, 44-26-30. Bit of a bizarre statement from the Accrington chairman this week. I'm not going to read it all out here. Go and have a look online if you want to have a look. I thought it was odd, I had to say. But Accrington, sadly, there's no value in this game. I did want to back them because they got a superb record to teams below them. Accrington are 6th. At home to teams below them, they've won 5, drawn 1. They've been pretty flawless, and the draw came against Barrow, who we know are tough to beat. The 2 defeats here have been against Mansfield and Stockport, who are the 2 best sides in the league. So I don't really have... You can't pick fault in Accrington's home form. And as I say, I did want to back it. Colchester on the road have lost 5 of the 7. They won at Gillingham, won at Grimsby. Look, there's 0.45, and I'm not interested in that. It's, I wanted to back Accrington. I still think Accrington will win the game. There's just nothing in it for us, sadly. Bit of a gutter. Barrow Salford 47-25-28. Barrow too short at evens. I don't think they'll lose this game, if I'm honest. I think, excuse me, the fact that they've held Notts County and Wrexham here sort of would indicate it's going to be hard for Salford to get a win here. Barrow have done well against teams below them, home and away. They've won 5, drawn 2, lost 1 to teams below them. Salford are a couple of places below them. It's just a game I can't play in because there's just nothing there. Doncaster Grimsby 40, 26, 34. Again, Doncaster, frustrating. They'd won 3 of the last 4. The only defeat in that run was a 1-0 defeat away at Stockport. So, they came into this Salford game midweek in really decent nick and ended up going down 3-0. Incredible. Totally unreliable. They play Grimsby. Grimsby have not won on the road. But draws at Walsall and Bradford have sort of boosted Grimsby's rating. I wouldn't be interested in this game at all. Forest Green Crawley, 38 of each. Both should be 13 to 8. I don't see how they come out with this 11 to 8 for Forest Green. I mean, they're second from bottom. They've played 8 at home and won 1. I mean, it's not like they've just been stuffed by the big teams. They've lost here to Newport, Doncaster, Salford, Barrow, plus 3 teams in the top 10. So I don't think it's, they're not. I just think they're a poor side. Would I trust Crawley? That's a problem. They've played 6 on the road, won 1. That win came at 20th place Grimsby. If they can repeat that, they'll win. There's 0.68 in them at 38%. I wouldn't put you off. Okay, there's, as far as I'm concerned, on a sliding scale, that's value. Okay, but it's whether you can trust them. They have gone off the boil. They've lost 3 of the last 4, drawn the other one. I saw them against Wrexham. I don't think they deserved to lose that game. I thought the Wrexham keeper was good. But Crawley keep the ball well, but there's not a lot of end product. But Forest Green are poor. Gillingham Newport 50, 27, 23. I mean, look, let's just hope that Gillingham have got the wheels back on now. That was a good win at Swindon. They're 7th. They're on 25 points. They're 7 points off top. But what I do like about Gillingham is the fact, if you look at the top, say like the top 9, they've played 4 of the clubs at home, 3 on the road. They've won away at Stockport as well. Hopefully, sacking Neil Harris moving forward, because they're 7 points behind Stockport, and yes, you can say there's 15 games gone, but crikey, you play 46 games, there's another 93 points available, for God's sake. It's no one's out of it. And I'm going to come to a team in a minute which I'm really excited about. I think Gillingham will win this. There's nothing in it. I don't think they should be odds on. Right, Harrogate Crewe. I think bookmakers have finally caught up with Crewe. We've backed them numerous occasions and they've done us good turns. I just think the bookmakers have caught up with them. And I'll tell you something else, what adds real meat to the bones with regards to Stockport County. Stockport won here 2-0 the other night. Now, Crewe, Mansfield never got a result here. Crewe beat Gillingham here. Crewe have drawn at Wrexham, Swindon, Wimbledon, and alike. So for Stockport to come here and turn them over the way they did is mightily, mightily impressive. And I do think the title is a 2-horse race, but I do think that Stockport will be the club that, possibly Mansfield, but I do think that it's going to be Stockport. I know it's still early days. This game, what do I think? I don't think Crewe will lose it, but there's just nothing in it. Right, MK Dons, 16th at the moment, 19 points. Now, I said at the start of the season they're a top 3, 4, 5 club, and I still expect that to be the case. They mullered Bradford in a week 4-1. It's amazing what a change of manager can do. I forget his name. He got Gateshead into the National League, and very, very impressive. The football that Gateshead play. Good friend of mine, goes and sees Gateshead all the time, and he gives me sort of up to date match reports, and Mike Williamson, that's the guy I'm thinking of, Gateshead manager. Absolutely done a superb job with Gateshead. Now, judging by what we saw the other night against Bradford, if that's going to be the case, then MK Dons are going to shoot up the table. They're 16th on 19 points, and like I've just said to you, they've got 31 games left. That's 93 points. So easily could they catch Stockport. I don't think they will, and that's my honest truth, but second, third, distinct possibility. I think Mansfield will take one of those places. I really do, barring a major sort of lapse between now and the end of the season. I do think that Mansfield will take one of those second or third spots behind Stockport. But MK Dons, I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I think they'll win this tomorrow. It's just nothing there for us. The values with Swindon, but I couldn't have Swindon. They've won one of the last 5. That was at Newport. That was that maximum bet we were on. I'm not so sure that if the Dons turn up the same way they did against Bradford, they'll beat Swindon. I think Swindon have got a bit of a class barrier too. On the road, they've only won one game. That was against 23rd place Forest Green. And as I say, I don't care what anybody says, these are a top 5 outfit. And if the manager is the right pick, and I got a feeling that he is, then we are going to see MK Dons fly. But it's just sad about that, isn't it? Mansfield Walsall 66-24-10. I think they're good things for this. Mansfield. And why do I rate them so highly? I'll tell you why I rate Mansfield so highly. They've played 4 of the top 7 on the road. Okay, they've been at Notts County 1-4-1, 5th place Crewe 2-2, 6th place Accrington 3-0, 7th place Gillingham 1-1. They've won 2, drawn 2. At home they've beaten Stockport 0-0 at Wrexham, 3-0 at Morecambe. I just think that they've had some really tough games. And if you look at their home record, Mansfield's, they've only played 6 games at home, won 3, drawn 3, but they've played 1 game against the teams in the bottom half. That's all at home. That is all they've played. They've got some really penalty kicks between now and the end of the season. I know we're only at the end of October, but you do have to look ahead, and you look at Mansfield and you can see them being a raft of points, and that's why I do think that they will take second or third behind Stockport. They'll win tomorrow, you don't need me to tell you that, but 2's on, that's what they should be, that's what we see them. Morecambe Wimbledon 42-26-32. I cannot, that's wrong, and I'm going to tell you why that's wrong. Wimbledon are 10th. Wimbledon's best win is an away win against 14th place Walsall. Home and away, teams above them, they've drawn 3, lost 2, so they've not won against any team above them. Morecambe are 8th. Now Morecambe's home record reads played 7, drawn 3, lost none. They've drawn here with Notts County, Accrington and Swindon. They've beaten Salford, Walsall, Bradford and Tranmere. Tell me how come they're 6-4. We think Morecambe should be 11-8 for this. It's up to you. Notts County, Wrexham 38-24-38. This is a game again. I think that would love to see this live, maybe on a Friday night or a Saturday evening or something. But again, we're bombarded with the Premiership crap. I shouldn't say that word, but that's how I feel about Premier League football. It's just a fantasy load of rubbish, the same as that Champions League crap that was on in the week. Does absolutely nothing for me. I've got no interest. Overpaid fairies diving about the pitch. No. This game, Notts County 1-6 at home, lost 1. The loss came against Mansfield. Wrexham a third. Difficult to what to say. They've not beaten a top side really here, Notts County. Wrexham's best win was a 1-0 away win at 12th place Crawley. I couldn't. I find them difficult to split. If I had to nail my colour to the mast, it would be County, because I just think that they're the most likeliest winners. But the value is with Wrexham. But as I say, Notts County, the 4-1 hammering from Mansfield would be a concern. And as far as Wrexham are concerned, as I say, the concern is they've only beaten 12th place Crawley as their best win. I don't know, maybe both teams to score if you wanted a bet, but I find it disappointing that we're not awarded live coverage of games like this, because the last League 2 game that was live was Mansfield Notts County, and it was a 5-goal thriller. That's what we want from football. That's what I want. I'm not, as I say, I've got no interest in Premiership football and Champions League and stuff like that. These are the games, games like this. Those are games that I want to see. Right, let's finish off. Stockport Tranmere 75-17-8. Look, I mean, it's 0.03 in it. We think they should. I mean, I don't give ratings higher than that ever. I think Stockport's 3's on for this. I mean, what have they won, 9 or 10 in a row? Is it? Very hard to do. Very hard to do. Tranmere, 3rd from bottom, played 7 on the road, lost them all. I can only see one result here. I think Stockport, good things, aren't they? Sutton Bradford 29-27-44. I'm out of love with Bradford City, really. But if they can't win this, then, well, I mean, what do you say? I mean, this is Sutton at bottom. They've lost 5 at home. They've lost 12 out of the 15 games they've played. They've lost 12 of them. Surely Bradford are capable of winning here. But we shall see. That completes it for England. We'll move on to Scotland. Right, Scottish Premiership. Before I do that, I just want to say I went to see Yeovil the other night against Weymouth. Yeovil won, and last season I was having a lot last season. I haven't really been this season, but just wanted to say that, you know, when people say what do I think about who's going to win the league and stuff like that in the south, I thought that Yeovil looked every inch a National League side on Tuesday. I think they're playing really good football. Like last season when Havant were at the top, and it was this sort of around this time last season, Havant and Ebbsfleet were sort of the top 2 before Havant fell away. I can't really comment on Ebbsfleet. I don't think I saw Ebbsfleet last season. I can't remember. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that Havant, when they were at the top of National League South and going along really, really well, not once did they look as good as what Yeovil did the other night. And I did see enough of Havant last season when they were at the top to comment on that. And so, if you know, just quickly on the subject of National League South, I mean, they're 4 points clear, Yeovil. I think they're going to take some stopping. I really do. We're on them, and Bath are second, and we're on Bath as well. So, I mean, I'd love Bath to go in, because I think, what did we get? 33s or 28s, didn't we, on Bath? But from what I saw the other night, as I say, I got absolutely fed up with going to Yeovil. I think I went there 2 or 3 times last season, and 0-0, 1-0. It was garbage stuff. It's completely changed. Obviously, there's a new owner and everything now, and as I say, I mean, they're in brilliant form. I mean, they didn't really have to get out of second gear the other night. Maybe we've all got our different views on it, haven't we? But I do think, you know, as I say, when Havant and Ebbsfleet were battling out last season, I mean, Ebbsfleet went on to win it, didn't they, easily? But when Havant were at the top, there's absolutely no way that were they anywhere near the level that what Yeovil are showing now. So I would really have to say that they're going to be a tough nut to crack, Yeovil. That is what I'm saying. But as I say, I would love it if Bath won, because of the price that we got on Bath. But it would I'd like Yeovil. Part of me would like Yeovil to go up, because I don't think Hartlepool are going to go up, and it's another team which, if Yeovil go up, then I've only got to drive down the road to see Hartlepool. So That's where sometimes I look at stuff. Right, let's go on to Scotland. Hibernian Celtic, Hibs 9, 25-66. Celtic will win. Hibs 2 wins all season, away at Aberdeen and at home to St Johnstone. I don't rate them, I never have. They got a soft centre. They've shipped 16 goals. They're the leakiest defence in the whole division. Celtic will exploit it and win. Simple as that. Livingston Dundee, 43-27-30. It's a smidge in Livingston, which did surprise me. They're a team, Livingston, that I always think are hard to beat. If you look at the form of them this season, they've only lost 3 times. Now, once was against Rangers, once was against Celtic, and one was away at Kilmarnock. And you know my thoughts on Kilmarnock at home under Derek McInnes. So I don't think you can have too many black marks against Livy. They've drawn at home to St Mirren, drawn at home to Aberdeen. They beat Motherwell here, won at Hibernian on the road. I think for Livingston that's acceptable. Dundee on the road have yet to win. Their only win was against Hearts, and that was after Hearts had a nightmare game on a Thursday night in Europe. Otherwise they'd be winless. I think Livingston will probably win this. It's up to you. Motherwell Ross, 55-25-20. Now, they've lost the last 4, Motherwell. Again, you can say, oh no, they're massively out of form, don't go near them. Or you can take what I call the sensible approach and go through it properly. They lost at home to St Mirren, who are probably the 3rd best team in Scotland at the moment. They lost away at Rangers, only 1-0. They lost at home to Celtic, only 2-1. And then they got turned over at Livingston. And that's a tough place to go, as I've just explained. So, do you look at Motherwell's form and say, oh no, I wouldn't want to go near them, they're majorly out of form? Or do you look at Motherwell's form and think, yeah, I can see why they lost that, I can see. Because if you look at the table, you've got Celtic, Rangers, St Mirren, that's the top 3. They got turned over all by the top 3 and then away at Livy. And that's no gimme to go to Livy. So, I think, we see them as odds on for this. Ross, I don't know what to make of Ross County. The last win was away at Kilmarnock, 1-0. Lost at home to Hearts, 4-0 at Aberdeen. Drew 0-0 at Dundee. I think Motherwell are up to beating these if they're on song. St Mirren St Johnstone, 65-26-9. I don't think I've ever given St Mirren a rating that high in 33 years. Honestly, I don't think I've ever given St Mirren a rating that high in the 30 odd years I've been doing this. St Mirren at 65%, but it's richly deserved. Let's look at the home form. Beat Dundee, drew with Aberdeen, beat Hearts, lost at home to Rangers. You can't crab that. On the road, won at Hibs, won at Motherwell, drew at Kilmarnock, drew at Livingston. Not lost an away game. The only time they've been turned over this season was at home to Rangers. And I think that was Philip Clement's first game in charge of Rangers, so you could say that was probably expected. St Johnstone, bottom of the table, they've yet to win. They're a poor side. I think they'll drop this season. They've not scored a goal on the road either. No wins, no goals on the road. I think they've only scored in 2 matches all season or something. We think St Mirren should be 8-15. They're 8-13. 0.09 at 65%. Fill your boots. Kilmarnock Aberdeen 36-26-38. Not sure what to make of this one, if I'm honest. Kelly beat Rangers first up, then had a bit of a nightmare run. Got back on the winning thread last time out against Livy. Aberdeen, I just don't know what to make of them. I really don't. It started ugly. They beat Ross 4-0. They won away at Rangers 3-1, but don't take that literally, because Rangers players down tools to get Chappie the sack, Michael Beale. So I don't understand that. They drew 0-0 at home to St Johnstone last time, who are bottom of the league and the worst side in the league. So we've got the Dons as slight favourites. Would I want to take that? Absolutely not a chance. I wouldn't touch them. Finally, Rangers Hearts, 66-24-10. Rangers should win this. It's quite interesting. They've lost twice at home, Rangers. I mean, it's not very often you get to the end of October and Rangers have lost twice at home. Once was against Celtic, which is forgivable, and as I say, the game when they down tools against the Dons. Hearts aren't as good this season. I know they're fourth in the table, but the form on the road, they've won 2, lost 2, but the wins on the road have been against St Johnstone and Ross, probably the worst 2 teams along with Dundee in the league. So I don't think that's anything to shout about. Rangers will win, but there's no value. Right, Scottish Championship now. Quickly, the top 2 games are tonight. Dundee United at home to Arbroath, Queen's Park at home to Partick. There's nothing in the first game. First game of the season, Dundee United played Arbroath on the road and absolutely routed them 4-0. I was so impressed last time out with Dundee United, 5-0 away at Partick. I mean, that is gold standard form at this level. To go to Partick and win by that amount, that's impressive, because Partick, I think Partick are probably the second best side in the division. Well, I don't know. Are they now? I don't know. I mean, Inverness, now they've got Duncan Ferguson, could take off. Because I still think Inverness got a decent squad. It's been underperforming, hasn't it, for a long time. But anyway, that win from Dundee United at Partick, that is just superb. I mean, Arbroath will be out for revenge tonight, in view of what happened when they lost at home 4-0, first game of the season. But I don't think Arbroath are in this level. There's nothing in the game. Queen's Park Partick 33-25-42. Partick on the road have won twice, at Morton 4-1, Ayr 4-0, 0-0 at Inverness, lost 2-1 at Airdrie. I think it's pretty good road form. My concern with Partick is they've lost the last 2 home games to 0. 3-0 against Arbroath and 5-0 against Dundee United. I can see the Dundee United. Well, I can't see 5-0, but you can forgive them losing that game. The scoreline's a concern, but no, I think Partick ought to be winning this. I mean, there's nothing in it, is there? Ayr Morton 44-28-28. I mean, Ayr's home form's been awful. They've beaten Inverness, lost the rest. But they've won the last 3 on the road, and they've run the last 3 scoring 8 goals. 5-2 at Queen's Park, 2-1 at Airdrie, 1-0 at Dunfermline. That is no mean form from Ayr. But again, it's a game to swerve. The Ton look in trouble to me. I think it'll be them or Queen's Park that drop this season. Although I have got a bit of concern about Dunfermline, which I'll come to in a minute. Inverness Airdrie 47-25-28. There's 0.4 in Inverness. We think they should be 11-10. I think they've been priced up purely on league position and people looking at the form. I think, obviously, as I always say, you've got to look further into things than that. They're at home to Airdrie. Have lost 3 out of 4 on the road. The only win came at Morton for Airdrie. And as I've just said to you, I think they're the worst team in the division. I think Inverness have got a top 3 squad at best. I do. I think if Duncan Ferguson can get a tune out of them, they're on 5 points, okay? Partick are third on 14. That's only a 9-point swing. They've got to play each other. Let's just say Inverness turn Partick over twice. When they meet, it's easily done. I think Inverness are a bit of value tomorrow. Wraith Dunfermline. I'll tell you my concern with Dunfermline. They've scored 9 goals in 8 games. That is a worry. I know Morton have scored 8 and Inverness have only scored 6, but Inverness, when they scored Inverness, 3 of those goals have come in Duncan Ferguson's 2 games since he's been there. So you can see that Inverness have scored 3 goals in 6 before Ferguson came. So that was poor. And as I say, Dunfermline 9 goals is, I'm not impressed with that. And why? And another reason I'm not impressed with that is because 5 of those 9 goals came against Queen's Park and Morton, and as I've just said, they're probably the 2 worst sides in the league. So they've scored 5 goals against Morton and Dunfermline, and 4 goals in all the other fixtures. That's a concern for Dunfermline. I thought they'd be easily sort of 5th, maybe even pushing top 4. I don't think it's going to be the case. It's a concern. Wraith are in decent nick. The only defeat recently has been away at Airdrie, and that's a tough place to go. They held Dundee United last time out 1-1. That's good form. I think Wraith ought to be winning this. We see them at evens. They're 11-10. Let's move on. Just to let you know, there's nothing in Scottish League 2 this week because there's no fixtures. And I felt that this coupon in League 1, I think this is the worst League 1 set of fixtures we've had all season. As you can see, there's one bit of smidge of value there. We'll talk about the games because I do think we've got an absolute stone cold cert there. Edinburgh Annan 28-28-44. Don't know what to make of this. Edinburgh have yet to win all season. I mean, they've shipped 24 in 10. Annan have shipped 22 in 10. So we've got two teams going along here shipping it over 2 a game. I think Edinburgh are going to drop this season. I wouldn't know where to advise you to bet in this game. If I had to have a bet, I would back that purely because it's the biggest prize. But I can't make a case for any of these. The only case you can possibly make is Annan have actually won 2 games. But it wouldn't surprise me if Edinburgh broke their duck tomorrow. Falkirk Alloa 75-18-7. I couldn't believe this when I rated this up. But fair play. Look, Falkirk, flaky Falkirk. It's not flaky Falkirk this season, is it? Played 10, won 8, drawn 2. And the wins have been decent wins. I mean, they're scoring a fair amount of goals. They've scored 25, shipped 7. They'll beat Alloa. Kelty Stirling 43-27-30. Again, don't know what to make about this. I mean, Kelty beat Queen of the South, beat Edinburgh, then they go and get turned over at Alloa. And I just got no real confidence in them. I haven't got any real confidence in Stirling. Again, you know, they got turned over last week by Falkirk. That's perfectly acceptable. But they lost to Annan a while ago, didn't they? If I had to bet here, it would be Kelty, purely because it's the figure's quite clear as Stirling. But I wouldn't want to take 6-5 about Kelty Hearts. Queen of the South Cove 34-26-40. There's a smidge Cove. I mean, Queen of the South ended up turning over Annan last time after that horrendous run. Was it 5 or 6 defeats on the spin? Absolutely awful form. I mean, Cove. I think Cove is just starting to get the wheels back on. They beat Annan last week, and prior to that, they'd had 3 draws. They did lose to Queen of the South back in end of August. Can they get revenge? Yes, they can, because I think they've got a better squad than Queen of the South. But I just don't know what we're going to get from Cove week to week. Montrose Hamilton 18-27-55. 8-11. I think it's too short. I spoke to my guy at Montrose. He thinks his exact words were, we'll give him a game. He said we'll give them a game, and he said hopefully we'll score, because he said they've been absolutely watertight this season. Hamilton, they've only shipped 5 goals. I think 15-4 is a big price. It's a big price, almost 4-1. I mean, we see them at 9-2 Montrose, but it's one of those games, isn't it? Like, you know, like I said to you the other week, where you try to make a case for a side at a price. They've won the last 3 at home, Montrose. That's the case you make. But Hamilton haven't lost a game all season. Hamilton turned Montrose over at Hamilton. So, Links Park, I don't know. I still think Hamilton will probably win the game, if I'm honest. But, as I say, my Montrose man, he thinks they'll give him a game tomorrow. And he said hopefully we'll score. So, that's just passing on straight from the club. Right, let's move on to the double. Right, double. And I'll just answer an email on this before I start. Someone said to me, oh, the double, you said 5-4. That doesn't mean we're going to get a 50% strike rate at bang on 5-4. That's what we're looking for. That's why it says the aim. Because if you speak to any professional punter, a 50% strike rate at 5-4 is what you want, okay? Because for every 100 bets you have, you're going to get £112.50 back, or 112 0.5 points back. So you're making 12.5% return on investment, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's all the aim was here. And like when someone said, that one was nearly 2 to 1, and that one was just a bit over evens. It swings and roundabouts. Add all this lot up, and it's probably way over. If you want to add it up, I mean, what have we had? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've had 11 bets so far. You can add that one on as well. Add all those lot up, divide it by 12, then you'll get your average odds. And I'd be willing to bet money that its average is more than 5 to 4. But like, that was a shade over 2 to 1. This is what? That's 4 to 5. That's 4 to 5, 3 to 4. So it's under 5 to 4. It's odds on. It doesn't matter because next week we'll probably have one that comes in at that price. So they're not all going to be 5 to 4. And 50% strike rates, as I've said many a time, do not go win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Okay, if you don't think that you can have 10 losers in a 50% strike rate, 10 losers in a row, you haven't been in this game long enough, because I've seen 50% strike rates have losing runs of about 14, 15 in the past, and that is what happens, but over the course of the season. Okay, so what have we got? We've had 11, we have 4 winners, so it's round about 30, late 30% strike rates. So the strike rate's down at about 12%. Okay, this one wins tomorrow, then all of a sudden we've got 5 from 12. It become, but I would never judge anything on 11 or 12 bets. Never. Anyway, Stockport and Rangers 1 point, 0.77 to 1 with Corals. It might be bigger, it might be lower. Shop about. The treble, last week's double one actually, Newcastle Stockport, which was good, 1.26. So, I mean, what price was that? The treble one last week, Newcastle Stockport and Rangers. Was that 21 to 10 sort of price, wasn't it? I mean, trebles are always going to be harder to land than doubles. Very rare will I ever do a treble. I mean, people do hackers. They're not for me. It's not the way I operate. I'm the 50% at 5 to 4. That's what I want. Anyway, this week's treble, Stockport, Rangers and Falkirk, 1.33 to 1 with Bet365. That's bordering 11 to 8. I didn't put a price up on here because trebles just aren't my thing. I will do the occasional doubles, but I just don't bet trebles. And you can see why. You can see. I mean, look at that. And that was Liverpool, wasn't it? Didn't win at Brighton. But anyway, there we go. Stockport. Had them in a few, haven't we? But that's it, guys. Pretty much. What else was I going to say? Yeah, Oldham have got a new manager, Mickey Mellon. I'm not sure on that. I might be wrong. It wouldn't have been my first choice. We'll see how it pans out. Someone asked me about relegation in the National League. I don't know. I think you can perm any 4 from probably about 8 sides. I think if you look at the bottom 4 and then the 4 clubs above, I can't believe York City are down there after but they are. Oxford City I always did expect to struggle, as I did Kidderminster. Other than that, I felt it was quite a tough call. But yeah, I mean, we're doing all right anyway. Chesterfield are top, Barnet is second. We're on both of those. Obviously, I prefer Barnet winning because, again, what did we get? I can't remember what we got on Barnet. 25 to 1 or something, wasn't it? So I prefer them to win it than Chesterfield. But if Chesterfield win it, then yeah, I mean, we'll do okay. But as I say, from that game the other night, I was quite impressed with Yeovil. And it's normally a place I hate going, but I'm certainly going to take myself off there, I think, again over the next month or so. But one thing I did notice the other night, I don't know whether it's me getting old in my 50s and that now, but it seems so bloody cold. I don't know why. It seems to get more colder as you get older. That is something I notice with football. Yeah. And I take my hat off to these Geordies that stand around with their shirts off. But there we go, guys. That's it. Fingers crossed. Best bet. What's the best bet? I always forget this. People always ask me what the best bet is. Best odds against bet this week. Okay. I think Oxford. I like that. I wouldn't say it's the best bet. It's the best bet as far as one of the best bets as far as I'm concerned, because of the rating and the amount of value that's in it. And yeah, there's nothing else really up there, is there? Let's have a quick look in League Two. I mean that could be very, very big. That could be very big. I mean I think that's an outstanding price. That's a ridiculous price. Yeah, best bet for me of the weekend, I would say Oxford at home to Wycombe, because I think Wycombe have got a class barrier, and I think Oxford will want to win this because it's a derby, and they will be spitting nails due to the fact that they got turned over at Wigan, and with Pompey slipping up the other night, they could have, well, they probably could have gone top, I'm not sure, but they could have certainly enhanced their position, chasing. If I had Oxford won the other night, they'd have been a point behind with a game in hand. So that was a bit of an error from Oxford. So I think they'll want to make up for that tomorrow. And Wycombe have shipped 21 goals, just to let you know. There's only one side in the division that has shipped more goals than Wycombe, and that is bottom club Cheltenham. So Oxford, best bet for me, odds against. That's it, guys. I'll speak to you next time. Bye for now.